and it starts barking as soon as I turn the camera on. Hi friends, welcome to Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we've got a knife from BPS Knives. This knife was given to me by a friend of Canadian Cutting Edge. Simon, thank you very much. It comes in a leather sheath, and it's a wood-handled, ash is the wood. 1066 steel. This is called the Finn Lite. It's a puko style knife with a very pointy tip. It's like a little bit of a slightly largish carving knife is what you could really use this for, because it's fairly thin steel, Scandi grind, sharpened quite well, and it doesn't come with the little lanyard. Simon put that on there, and I'm going to leave that on there because I don't think I'd be able to retie it. I just am not that good at tying those. And that little piece of lanyard comes in quite handy when you're going to pull the knife out, because you can grab with your hand and my pinky. I'll show you close-ups. So yeah, you can see that. Right now, when I just checked, and today it's the first Monday of December. I'm recording this in the morning. December I don't know my watch on. The 6th, the 7th, I don't know, something like that. Anyhow, $24.99 at the BPS website. So if you're in Europe, go ahead and just get it directly from BPS. If you're in North America, Canada's got this on the Canadian Amazon for $33.99 Canadian. But Chicago Knife Works has got some of these in stock, $16.59 American. The Amazon.com, the US Amazon site, has a listing for these, but they're out of stock, so there's no price listed. So I'll leave all those links down below to make it easy for you to get these. All kinds of stores in Europe have these knives because these are made in Ukraine, and Ukraine business is something I really like to support. So yeah, let's get started on the full review of the Finn Lite by BPS Knives. Stick around. All right, let's just take a brief look at this to start with. This is the leather sheath. Now, when it came, it was pretty tight. It was really hard to get this in there. So I just re-educated or educated, it's a brand new sheath, this sheath. And what I did was I covered the blade. You can see a little bit of oil residue on there. I covered the blade with a thin film of kitchen oil. I think it was canola oil, vegetable oil, whatever you have is a decent thing to do. And then I wrapped it also in kitchen, what do we call it? Saran wrap is a brand name. Cling film, just that really thin kitchen film that you use with food. And so it's really thin on there. And I put this in water for about 3-4 minutes. Just let it soak in water for a little while. And put the knife in there. And I jammed the knife in as far as I could so that the blade would be fairly near to the tip. And if you look at how it's trained right there, now the blade comes down fairly near to the tip right there. Sits in there nice and snug. After having it in there for about an hour, I took the knife out so that it could dry. And I didn't manipulate the leather at all after that. But while the knife was in there, I did push on the leather and stuff so it would get trained a little bit. So when you got brand new leather and it's actual real leather, sometimes you have to do things like that. That fake pleather stuff, doesn't require this kind of treatment and wouldn't benefit from it at all. So yeah, this is real leather. It's decently stitched, 3 nice rivets on there. And this is how the knife comes minus the lanyard. So yeah. Now, before I talk more about the knife, I want to talk a little more about the sheath, because Simon went and bought a clip for it. Now, it's similar to the Alti clip, and here I've got one. This is, forget what size this is, but it's certainly not the smallest size. And it would stick out a little bit too far. It came with a clip that you can buy directly from BPS Knives, and he mounted it on there, and it's a good size and everything, except for it broke the second time. Well, the first time I moved it, I put it on one pair of pants, and when those pants needed to go into the laundry, I took it off and I put it back on, and the clip broke right there like that. The steel just is too thin and too light, and it just broke. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I carried it the rest of the time. I used this clip Ulti-clip would have been nice, but I wanted to try it with a non-locking clip to see how I liked it, and it fared okay. This is from Real Steel. I don't think these are listed anywhere anymore. You know, I've got 2 of these, and I really like these, so I'm just going to put that on to show you how I carried it. Now, this is how I had it in my pocket. So the knife was just barely sticking out of my pocket, and that held it fine. You see, if I, pull on the knife, it does want to come out, so I had to put my hand on it back here at the same time. But it's easy to do that when you get this little lanyard. I just pushed off, including on the leather. It's hard to do now because I'm sitting over there and I'm pulling that way. But when it's in your pocket, when you're wearing it, it's not that hard once your leather's been trained to do that. Use whatever kind you want, but there's options for that. Now, other options are you can buy danglers that'll, fasten onto here, and then you've got a dangle carry. There's options. The friction ones or the locking ones, just make sure you get decent stuff. I do not recommend the BPS Knives one because, their steel is just not up to par. Now, the knife. It does say Canadian cutting edge on there because Simon got that laser etched on there, so very nice. And it's a beautiful little knife. Now, I'm going to try to take these handle scales off. I haven't done it yet. I'm going to see if they come off. I'll do that a little later on in the video. But first off, the blade. We got a full tang blade. You see the steel is all the way around. And yeah, let's just do the dimensions right now so that we cover all that stuff. I got my list right here. The weight of this knife, 67 grams. That's 2.4 ounces. The sheath, 29 grams. That's without anything added onto it, like with none of the clip hardware, just the leather sheath. That's 1 ounce, almost exactly an ounce. Together, the 2 of them, the sheath and the knife, is 106 grams, 3.75 ounces. So you've got a decent sized knife here, under 4 ounces, not bad. The sharpness on my sharpness tester, I got an average score of 185 best, not bad. The sharp length, so between my thumbnails right there, that is 81.1 millimeters, 3.19 inches. Blade length, so tip of the blade to the wood right there, 83.2 millimeters, 3.27 inches. The blade depth, its widest right there between my index fingers, 20.8 millimeters, that's 0.82 of an inch. The thickness of the blade stock, it's pretty thin. This is 1.86 millimeters, that's 73.5 thousandths of an inch thick. Thickness behind the grind, well, that's the thickness of the blade because it's a Scandi grind. The grind angle, oh, I didn't write that down. It'll be on the screen right here. It says this angle that they ground the Scandi at is on the screen. The handle length, so between my thumbnails, the wooden length right there, that is 98.6 millimeters, 3.88 inches. The thickness of the handle, that is 17.5 millimeters. That's 0.689 of an inch. So a little under 3/4 of an inch. Not bad. It's pretty nice for that. The handle depth within the grip area, so not counting this little bit of a guard. So, how far it is this way, 23.3 millimeters, 0.917 of an inch. The grip area, this is sort of a little bit rounded of a number. It's about 90 millimeters, 9 centimeters or so, about 3.5 inches of grip area. The total length of this knife from tip to tail, not counting any lanyard, is 182 millimeters, 7.16 inches. And I already told you the price. I'll leave the links down below. What do I think of this thing? It's okay. I really, really wish that 1066 was not the main go-to steel for BPS knives. That's what has held me up from reviewing a lot of their knives. I am not a fan of 1066. Now, 1066 is a decent steel for something like a machete because it's a tough steel. It can handle, the impact of whacking it around, but it's a little too soft. Rockwell on this is about 56, maybe 57. It's just not that high. So the edge retention's not that great. But sharpening is not hard either, so it's not that much work to maintain the edge. It's just that with 1066, you'll have to maintain the edge a fair bit. Now, if they wanted to use, you know, budget carbon steel, I would say go for at least 1075. 1075 has got like 30% more carbon in the steel, which makes it a fair bit better, you know, at the edge retention, a little bit harder, and that's why the edge retention is better, while still being quite tough. Now, 1095, it loses some toughness. Now, on a short knife like this, you don't need toughness, so 1095 would be best for these little 3-inch, well, this is 3¼ inches. This kind of size knife, something that you can carry in your pocket, you know, if you want carbon steel, 1095 would be a much better choice than 1075 or 1065. But 1075 would be a better choice. 1066 is just, it's a little too soft in my books. But does that mean it doesn't work? No, this knife, it's got a comfortable hand feel, and it slices and cuts and whittles. You know, it does the fine little woodworking kind of bushcrafty tasks quite well. It just needs to be tuned up on the edge, you know, more frequently than I would want. You know, I've gotten used to harder steels, and so maybe I'm being nitpicky. I know a lot of people really, really like 1066, and so yeah, that's okay. People have different opinions about stuff, and that doesn't make one person just completely wrong and another person completely right. There's nuance to stuff, and I'm just saying the way I prefer it. So it's very useful, small fixed blade knife. It's got a very pointy tip. It's got a little bit of a guard built in to the handle right there. And it cuts quite well, and it's a light little knife. Now, the ash, I want to take this apart, if it comes apart, if they used adhesive or not. I don't know. I haven't checked anybody else's reviews on these, because I don't do that, because I don't want their opinions to influence mine. If it's not glued on here, then I can take these handles off and I can clean them up because they're dirty now from my use. You can see the dirt right there and stuff, and there's some more dirt back here, and you know, because hands sweat and stuff, and you know, it just sort of gets that way. So I'd like to clean them up, and I'd just like to seal the wood. Just use wood sealer, like what woodworkers use for sealing wood, not a proper finish, like not a lacquer or a shellac or, you know, stuff like that. Just the sealer, just to help the wood not react as much to, you know, humidity changes in the house, or, you know, between the inside and outside, and, you know, all that other stuff, just to help it out for that. But that's it. Now, those are the main pros and cons. Let me go get my tools and see if this comes apart. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, that broke loose. And let's take that screw out. Yeah, it doesn't look like they used any thread locker in there. Now, should leave that one in, turned a few threads. Yeah, that comes out. Should do that to this one too. There we go. Yep, there's no adhesive used in there. Perfect. I like that. I'm glad they didn't use any adhesive in there. Now, since I'm not great with lanyards, I'm going to have to leave that lanyard on there if I try to reseal this. But, you know, there you go. That's probably an indexing hole. Oh, that's the lanyard hole. Yeah, that's the lanyard hole. Those are the two screw holes. So there's no extra holes drilled in there, which is just fine. And it's just ash wood. So, yeah, the design is simple and effective. And, you know, I like how it's made. And it was ground. You know, the wood handles were screwed on. It was kind of clearly done that way. The wood handles were screwed on. And then it was ground so that it matches, because the spine of the wood and the blade there was all matching and stuff. It wasn't off by a little bit. So, yeah, that's nicely done. I'm very happy with that. Let me interrupt right now. This I recorded afterwards because I've measured the grind angles on it, and I'm glad I had the handle scales off, because that's the only way I could measure it. When I had it clamped into my TSPROF K03 system, it was barely clamping on the edge here, and it was so shallow, I didn't have my filleting clamps on, just my standard clamps on it. I couldn't get down to the angle that these were, so I just clamped it, you know, over here on the flat part of the tang of the blade to measure these angles. These are hand sharpened, by the way, that's why the angles are variable. 8.1 degrees on here, 9.9 degrees at the tip. This side was 9.0 degrees at the heel and 11.3 degrees at the tip. So, you know, you're under 20 degrees, no, yeah, under 20 degrees total. That's the total angle, under 20 degrees. No wonder it was cutting so well, and also no wonder it was needing to be stropped, you know, very, very frequently. I hadn't actually sharpened it on a proper sharpening thing, so I haven't changed the angles. All I did was strop it, and yeah, that's why it was going dull. When I resharpen this, I think I'm going to do at least 12.5 degrees per side. I think I want 25 degrees inclusive on that edge. That's going to make it a little more work if I was going to just be, you know, carving really soft wood. You know, I might leave it this shallow, but, you know, even pine, some pine, especially here in Canada, because it's so cold so much of the year, it grows slowly. It's a little more dense than a lot of places. I think 25 degrees, 12.5 degrees per side is what I would try on this for the next time that I'm going to use it. What do I think of this knife? Overall, I'm happy with it. For the price, yeah, I'm very happy with it. I'd rather pay a little bit more and get a little bit better carbon steel. They do have some knives with D2, and they've got a brand new folding knife that just came out. I'll post a picture on here. The Skua, I think. Anyways, it's named after a ocean bird. If you're into that kind of thing. Oh, I didn't mention there is badging on there, and it's on the side of the blade there, and it's not in your face. It's not like black badging. It's just laser etched on there. And in case you weren't aware, this, yes, I already said it before, these knives are made in Ukraine. So if you want to support a Ukraine business, check out all the different products they have. They got loads of stuff. And right now, this is the week after Thanksgiving in the United States. You know, they've got sale prices on right now. I don't know how long those sale prices are going to last. So if you're going to check that out, check it out as soon as you can. So thank you so much for watching my little video. Thanks for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And remember, friends, always cut towards your chum, not your thumb.